Hey, Juventini, welcome to the All Juve cast. This is season 4, episode 4, post Malmo Juventus match. And we finally have a fun one to discuss. All right. So, Juve pulling it out 3-0. Very, very nice victory. And yeah, we're all pretty pumped to chat about this one. We got Omar, Anthony, and Francisco. Fellas, you guys ready to recap this one or what?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. There we go.
I've been waiting for this all season. Let's get her done.
Yeah, let's get to it. So we won't waste any time. We'll get right into it, covering the lineups that took the field and whatnot. So basically, out of Juventus, it was exactly as kind of projected and what we went over on pre-match day live. So there was no surprises there. Danilo, Bonucci, Delict, Sandro across the back, Szczesny, of course, in goal. In the middle of the park, the first time these three played together, but Rabiot, Locatelli, and Bentancur. And then obviously we talked about Cuadrado in there in the midfield too, and then Dybala, Morata up top. So yeah, the lineups. Yeah, I mean, after the Napoli match, a lot of the talk was, how are we going to look once we get our regulars back in? And let's start. And that was my message to a lot of Juventini was, maybe pump the brakes on the intense criticism and everything until we can see these regulars in the fold. This one, regardless of it being Malmo, I think you got to take that out of the equation because Juventus needed a victory big time. Needed victory, needed goals, clean sheet. We got them all. Very, very positive from the guys. We will get to just the talking points through the match real quick, and then we'll get to obviously all the topics we want to touch on surrounding Juventus here. So really tentative start from the boys. First maybe 18 minutes or so. Malmo getting an opportunity, still one that was very hard to convert. Volley off of a cross there about 17 minutes in that ends up going wide, but we don't have to wait much longer for Sandro to almost head one literally on the ground. His first Champions League goal, cross in from none other than Juan Cuadrado, 1-0 Juve. Awesome.
Well, let's hang on that one for a second. The difficulty factor on that one can't be understated, because if he uses his foot there, he shanks that 45 feet above the net. If he dives too quick, that's off the top of his head, out behind him. If he dives too early, he smacks it off his nose, hits his chest, defender clears it out, and today we're laughing at Sandro. So let's just pump the brakes a little bit. That was a nifty finish. That was a little bit tougher than people give him credit for. It was in that in-between range where you can head it or you can kick it. I thought that was a solid finish.
I think he was tripping and he was about to fall, and he's like,
It all counts. It all counts the same. Leave him alone.
I'm just giving him a hard time. That was a hell of a header. It was definitely one I would have personally struck with my foot, but that's okay. It went in. That's all that counts.
It's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Cuadrado with the assist, Sandro with the goal, 1-0 up, 22 minutes in. 27th minute, a long ball from Bonucci, and Sandro's going back. He's turning the clock back right now. And it was funny because we talked about the cagey start. Juve looking a little rough, and it was that side, Rabiot and Sandro. And I was thinking, oh, man, everything we were worried about. So you're welcome, everybody, because I put the tweet out saying I'm worried about this left side. And right when I said that, boom, Sandro flipped the switch. So you're welcome. You're all welcome. We flipped the switch. This one, he just barely misses far post after settling that Bonucci long ball. Very, very unfortunate to not have two right there within a span of 5 minutes from Sandro. We get to the 42nd minute. Little bit of a softie on Morata there. We get the PK. Dybala steps up, makes it very interesting with his selection of where he wants to put it.
Awful penalty shot. Absolutely
awful. Said. It was pretty rough.
The keeper touched it. The keeper got his leg to it.
And he slipped. Good thing he slipped.
He slipped. Yeah. That's why he made the PK, because he slipped. That's absolutely why he made it.
But just before that, just rewind that. I think it was the 32nd minute. There was a ball over the top where Morata he tried to chip the goalie, but the goalie came out and smothered it. You know, he might have been able to pass on the ground into the net, but we'll let that one slide because he drew the penalty shot. Whatever, 12 minutes later.
Locatelli pass.
Yeah, a little bit of a softie, but defenders' arms were around him and whatnot, and yeah, it is what it is. Seen him
The referee was
We'll
good.
take it, Al. We're gonna take it.
We take
Yeah.
it.
The
And
referee
then-
had a clear vision. He just stood there right next to it.
Couple minutes later, and then Morata strikes again after Malmo makes a mess of trying to cut out Rabiot's ball there, and Morata almost messed it up with his first touch, but he just stretches out to it and pokes this one beyond the keeper, and it just stays low enough to get in the target. 3-0.
The genius of that touch also cannot be understated. Let's just give Alvaro Morata a little bit of credit here. That touch was so bad that off the outside of the left foot, it was terrible. Off the outside left foot, off the inside of the post in the net. So these are the kind of bounces that we needed last year, and I'm glad that we're getting them first Champions League game. Soft penalty shot. I thought in the second half, Cuadrado was fouled in the box. That was more of a penalty shot than that one. I'll take it. I'm not complaining. 3-0 at halftime. Book it. We're sailing.
Yeah, and I gotta give some credit to Morata because one-on-one with the goalkeeper, he's as cold as ice. Like he has other areas where he's not good, but even that Napoli strike, his one-on-one
Napoli
was
finish
spectacular.
was
The finish against Donnarumma and what was it?
In the
one that
Euros.
we won. Yeah, in the Euros, one-on-one, cold as ice.
Yeah, he takes a lot of flack for, obviously offsides and everything and overall, but he's pretty solid. I mean, every striker is going to miss some, and if you even the guy we just ended up losing to Man U had a lot of misses per opportunities.
More than everyone.
Exactly. I'm just going to say it. It's part of the gig. But fantastic first half from Juventus, 3-0 up. A dream. Everything Juventini were waiting for. Fantastic. Second half, do not let up, boys. Do not let up. That's it. Just now, it was focus on continuing to play solid. Don't shut down. Don't drop deep. And get that clean sheet. 61st minute, great ball movement between Morata, Cuadrado, Dybala, and Morata just doesn't get the finish there. Keeper diving out, Diawara there and stopping it, but great ball movement. 68th minute, we introduce McKennie for Bentancur and Moise Kean for Morata. Kean looked good. He looked really good when he came in. We get 70th minute, like a couple minutes after he gets introduced. Man, he gets a fantastic finish when he's sent through, pokes past the keeper, finds a tight angle, gets it in, but offside.
Miles offside.
What's that?
Miles offside, by the way.
Yeah, offside's offside.
Mm-hmm.
Inter mile.
Great run, though.
Nice.
Great run, great finish.
Yeah.
Good to see, yep.
82nd minute, Ramsey comes in for Dybala. 83rd, Kulusevski for Cuadrado. 87th, we get Rugani for De Ligt. Juve still in control, looking good, seeing it through. 89th minute, again, Keane sent through. This time, stopped by the keeper. He was onside. Nice little Kulusevski back heel. That's kind of like the chance that I thought for sure he would bury, but it's okay. It would have just been, extra gravy on top, but we get it out 3-0. First clean sheet since March, boys. Great performance. I couldn't knock a whole bunch. KG start, probably the roughest point for Juve, but you expected that with how things were going so far in Serie A, translating into Champions League. We want to get into performance reviews here. So we're going to start off with the attack and just talk about how we felt about the attack here in terms of Dybala, Morata, and the 4-4-2 that we kind of saw, but with Cuadrado sliding up almost as that third attacker there. So who wants to kick us off on their thoughts and reviews on our attackers in this one? Let's go.
Well, Omer hasn't been here in a while. How about that? Get us going, Omer.
Okay, I thought they all played well. Cuadrado got an assist, and Dybala and Morata with the goal. So all of them produced something. I think it was great for confidence. Like you can immediately see Dybala after his goal and picked it up. He suddenly had more courage and he looked better after the goal. So everyone in the squad needs that boost of confidence. I would have loved it if Szczesny could have scored and get a bit of confidence, but it is what it is. It was a solid win and led by the attackers.
Mm-hmm. Francisco.
Right, Francisco.
I'm extremely happy with the win. I do appreciate that Sandro finally had a, we can say, consistent game, because even though we started out rough, he was good. I think he was good. And I think that Rabiot had a lot to do with that. Tactically playing Rabiot on that left side, giving Sandro the confidence to go forward is important. But I'm very happy, and I'm very happy to finally start seeing Dybala take that mantle of central player that he needs to take, because he's gonna be the guy, regardless who is beside him, Keane, Morata, it doesn't matter. He's gonna be the guy. So I hope we can continue that trend, especially against Milan, taking into consideration that Chiesa didn't play also, who's a very important player for us. But I do think that we're gonna be good, and I was very happy with the performance.
Yeah.
So just with the attack, I thought Morata had a consistent game, much like Sandro did. But we'll get to the defense later. I thought Dybala didn't do much in the first half. From what I saw, I didn't really see much out of him. Awful penalty shot. Other than that, I thought in the second half, he started, as Al, you like to call it, dropping back in the hole. I thought he was doing a lot more of that, coming in, collecting, and distributing that way, kind of throwing the center backs off. He had a much, much better second half. We'll get to our players of the game, and he wasn't mine. But tale of two halves for Dybala. Morata was consistent, and I think Keane showed. I think he's gonna have a good season. I think he's gonna be good this year, and it's gonna be exciting. Now it's gonna be, how do you use Keane, Morata, and Dybala moving forward? That's gonna be up for Max to figure out. But I think a good win, good solid win. I know Malmo stink, but you need to get that going into a big game against Milan this weekend.
Yeah, in terms of our attack, I think it's just clear how Dybala needs to be used and work with a true number 9 and whatnot. The bonus of having a guy like Cuadrado on the side that can take guys on 1v1. Honestly, that was the biggest thing I think we were missing against Napoli, because we got the ball in that position several times, but with players unable to win those battles or even draw those fouls. And that makes a big, big difference. But I thought Dybala in the first half, I thought he was okay. I wouldn't say it was, I agree his second half was better, but I thought he was fine in the first half too. Midfielders. This was the first time we got to see Locatelli, Bentancur, and Rabiot. Much to lose, probably. Much to lose frustrations there. Rabiot had a good match. Strong match. But none of these guys were my player or man of the match, but Locatelli continues to show what he's going to bring. Very, very excited for that. Bentancur, what's everybody's thoughts on Bentancur in this one?
Yeah, he did a lot of running, which is expected of him. He worked hard. I wanted him to take that shot where he decided to pass it for Cuadrado.
Yes.
It was like, belt it, man. You're 3-0 up. And that's about it. But they're pretty similar players, all three of them. And like Locatelli is a level above. And I'm still missing something different a bit there. Something Arthur might provide, or McKennie maybe. But the three of them seem to me very similar and doing pretty much the same stuff.
I do agree in the sense that not Locatelli, but Betancourt and Rabiot are very similar players. I do think that Rabiot has more physical talent naturally, because I do think he's a bigger guy, a faster guy. but I have always liked Betancourt's attitude. You can say whatever you want about him making mistakes, yeah, but he never cruises through a game, and that for me is very important. And maybe he wasn't brilliant because he wasn't really brilliant, but I do think he was like always giving his best, and I did like him. I'm not sure if he's gonna be a regular when everybody's healthy because if Arthur comes back, I do think he's gonna play on that midfield. But I do think that he's a very good player to have in your squad because he puts in the effort.
Yeah, you
This
can
was
never knock Bentancur for effort. Like that's one thing you can never take away from him. I've always given him that. I think again, naturally, he just looks more at home to the side of one of those registas, and Locatelli being the lock in the middle feels great. I still, however, think once Artur comes back, I wouldn't mind seeing Locatelli in one of those side midfielder roles to maybe get a little more advanced. But that could be a project we see a little bit later if Allegri chooses to. But right now, that was pretty solid. That was pretty solid. And again, I get it. It's Malmo, but you just can't take anything away when you need to build off something. So for me, the midfield was good. Anthony, you were going to touch on the midfield.
Yeah, I'll just add the McKennie, the Bentancur, Quadrado, Locatelli. That's fine. I thought Rabiot was the surprise of the match. We had some concerns yesterday. We talked about in the pre-match game. We're like, what the hell is Rabiot doing out there? And it worked out pretty good. There was a little shaky start with him and Sandro on that side. Then you sent that tweet and everything just turned around. So I would say he was the surprise of the match based on the pregame analysis that we did, if you want to call it an analysis. But Rabiot was, I thought he had a solid game out there, much to the dismay of Louis on here.
Oh yeah, the dismay of Louis. Louis coming in for the Rabiot praise, perfect timing. But I understand the frustrations with Rabiot. I mean, it has been for his tenure so far, just a lot of hit and miss. But let's just remember how one of the things he said, the reasons he also wanted to come to Juve was to work with Max, and he didn't get to because when we got him, that was Max's year heading out. So we'll see what Max can do with him and whatnot. But this was much better from Rabiot. He was big in this one. We get to the defense and talking about these guys. For me, out of the defenders, nothing wrong with any of them. For me, Sandro stood out, and Bonucci put on a clinic with his passing, and especially stretching out the field and whatnot. It was awesome to see. Whatever, those were the two stood out for me. Again, nothing wrong, obviously, with the other guys, but and honestly, if we get to it, man of the match, my man of the match was Sandro, to be honest. But let's get to it. You guys touch on the defenders, and then your man of the match. That's where we're at right now. So let's go around the other opposite way now with Anthony, kicking us off with your thoughts on the defenders and your man of the match.
Yeah, it was nice to see Danilo and Sandro back. I use that term lightly. I know there's some issues with Sandro, but it was nice to see the regulars at right back and left back. The two center backs, Bonucci, De Ligt, I thought fantastic. Zero issues. Again, it's Malmo, but they needed that sort of confidence building. For my man of the match, I'll go a little different. Someone who just they did their job, didn't complain. De Ligt was my man of the match. Just kind of an understated, great game. I grew up kind of a defensive guy, so it was nice to see, the stay-at-home guy. Bonucci did his thing, great game. Everybody had a good game. There's other shoutouts, but I'm taking De Ligt for my man of the match.
There you go. Francisco, your touch on the defenders and your man of the match in this one.
My man of the match was Sandro because he was really good. I do think he was his most consistent game on a while.
Yeah.
And I did like him a lot, not just defending, but also going forward. In the sense of the defense, I do want to say The defense was good, obviously. We take into consideration it was Malmo,
Yeah.
but the defense was good. But I just have the feeling since the start of the season, we don't have a bully back then, back there. We don't have a bully, man. If Chiellini doesn't play, we don't have a bully. And I know everybody likes Bonucci because he distributes the ball and all that. But man, if we play against those big defenders, or big strikers, they always are looking to find Bonucci because they know that they can put a big body on him and we're gonna have problems. I'm not saying Bonucci is a bad player. He's not obviously he's not a bad player. He's a very good player. I just think that for me, there's when he plays with the league, there's an aspect of physicality that is lacking on the back. That's just me. That's my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean we can't really disagree, to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting point, and he's also choosing Sandro. So we have two Sandros. We have Anthony going with Delict for man of the match. Omar, your thoughts on our defense and man of the match?
Okay, so I think everyone pretty much did their job, did what they do best. Bonucci distributing the balls, the Ligt more authoritative, if that's a proper term, and Danilo defended brilliantly and drifted forward, got a few balls into the area. And Sandro maybe is a bit freed up. I saw a tweet today that says, well, he's underrated because he had to cover for Ronaldo for 3 years now, which is a lot of work. Marcelo suffered it too in Real Madrid. And now maybe he'll be more free. Maybe he'll have some more rotation because the last couple of seasons, just looked tired all the time.
Yeah,
And because he was alone. But I can give him man of the match. Yeah, I can go with that. He deserves it.
there you go. So we got 3 votes for Sandro. Lewis coming in and saying one thing I appreciate about the defense, all 4 of them helped get further forward, whether it was passing or movements, helped take pressure off of the midfield. Yeah, it was honestly like just organizationally, structurally, it was very, very nice performance. The focus, I loved seeing the focus remain throughout as well. And we talked about that earlier, not shutting down. You're coming out of a half 3-0, could have been really, really easy to get into bad habits, but we didn't. So I'd like to say again, regardless of its Malmo and thinking about that, this is a big one for Juve in where they were, and hopefully it's the spark that they need to turn the tide. And it couldn't have gone any better before a big match on the weekend versus Milan. Lewis coming in with Paulo for his man of the match. Alex saying Tech because finally a clean sheet. And there you go with man of the matches. And Tech, yeah, that's big for Tech. And the thing is there was so much speculation about this guy, right? The clean sheet's big for the defenders, Chesney, the team, the group as a whole. Max was itching to get that clean sheet. We go into a match against Milan. Very, very difficult one. We are going to talk a bit about that in a preview or not, but Chesney and the way it was all handled, everybody had their opinion on whether you go with him or you don't. I will say this, it just can't stop here. And we got to think about the actual span of Chesney's subpar performances, right? And the stretch it's been. One game doesn't erase all that or correct it. He needs to continue to build off that, right? So it's a good start, but I hope he can back it up. And he did have 2 really, really good moments in this Malmo match where it again could have been easy. Could have been easy to fall into a hole or lose concentration in those moments in a game that's going the way this one was, but he didn't, and he remained the focus. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this is the turning point for Wojciech Szczesny. The
Hey,
rumors about Donnarumma and all this, it was always going to make it a pain in the ass for us throughout the year because he's under this crazy microscope. and every little mistake he does, and people still talking about the Donnarumma situation. The other day, we talked about a different scenario in terms of De Ligt and him not meeting expectations. Anthony and I touched on that and how it's really just lazy. It's not even lazy journalism. It's just clickbait, right? Trying to get those clicks. This Donnarumma thing has become the same thing as it continues on, and it's just trying to get clicks. You saw the latest one where we had personal terms agreed and Allegri said no and all this, and it's just let it go. Let it go. Trust me. You'll be a lot happier if you just let it go, okay? Szczesny's around. We got to hope that he can put out the performances consistently and we can move forward. All right. Massimo coming in with his thoughts. It's tough to say man of the match, but he thanks Sandro as well for the game winner and just the intensity that he started the match with. So there you go. Sandro getting a lot of nods, and honestly, that's good. And Omar touched on great point in regards to Sandro not having to cover for somebody that creates a lot of issues on the left side. And we know how Allegri likes to play, and we talked about the organization and the structure. It all has to work together. And yeah, it's hard to keep that balance when you have a guy that's given a lot of freedom, right? So I know who's going to take that the wrong way and say that he was a problem, but no, that's not what we're saying. It just makes things harder for other guys. Hopefully Sandro can get it going. I think the biggest thing with him, again, Omar touched on, he did a great analysis on Sandro, and that's the stamina, the endurance, and just how long can he keep that going, right? We do have the youngster Pellegrini behind him. I think Pellegrini can fill in fine for certain matches, but Sandro will be the guy, no doubt. So we'll see it there. Does anybody have any thoughts that Pellegrini could advance himself by any means over Sandro in this lineup? Because there are still fans making shouts for Luca Pellegrini, but for me, I haven't seen enough of it or whatnot. He's a good change-up player when you need it. I think he can go out there and do the job, but I don't see him as being able to overtake Sandro in Allegri's eyes, personally. How do you guys feel?
I can't say it happening, not this season at least. But what an Allegri type act would it be to make it all the way to the Champions League final with Sandro and then playing Pellegrini in the final?
Oh man!
And win.
Win.
Yeah, let's just pump the brakes on Pellegrini. I think, like you said, Omar hit it good with Sandro's new potential, space opening up in front of him, his ability to rotate. Let's just give Sandro a little bit more time, and Pellegrini can play next Wednesday against Spezia for all I care. But yeah, Sandro, he's put himself in that spot. He's not leaving it.
I do think with this formation, the left backs are gonna be playing good offensively if Rabiot is the one playing on that left midfield, because he gives you the ability to go forward, knowing that you have Rabiot covering your back when you go forward. Because Rabiot, you can say whatever you want, but on the open spaces, he's catching. Like, there's no way he's not catching up to any striker or any offensive player. So that gives you confidence. I do think that Pellegrini is a player that can develop in the future, but knowing Max, he's not playing. It has as 11, one of the 11 guys. No, Max is a guy who wants someone who's experienced, secured, and who doesn't have any doubts. And I do think that even though Pellegrini can develop himself as a better left back in the future, he still needs some experience, especially defensively. He's not as good defensively as Sandro.
Well, Lou hit on it there in the comments section with the Sweathawks, right?
Absolutely.
We have a backup.
Yeah.
Let's just be happy about that.
And that's what we're all alluding to, is just keeping Sandro to have just enough energy and enough fuel in the tank to keep her going, and that's going to happen now with Pellegrini able to give him some rest in certain matches, right? And that's how I think Pellegrini will probably be used. I haven't seen anything stand out from him that's going to say he's going to take over the spot. But again, the seasons are very, very long. Anything could change. But if we get the Sandro we got yesterday consistently, Pellegrini won't be close. That's the Sandro we've all wanted for the entire time. So see what ends up happening.
And now that I think of it, Sandro thrives when there were hard workers around him, like Khedira and Mandzukic and Matuidi, the guy who covered the spots, worked as hard as him, and that gave him a bit more air and a bit more freedom to go forward. And Rabiot can provide it, and who's ever on the left, Chiesa is a hard worker, Kulusevski is a hard worker, so maybe he'll do better right now.
Yeah. I still see, and going back to our midfield discussion about this particular midfield, I still think that setup is still playing with two complementary mids. I'd like to see somebody else take the reins in there, but I just don't think it's going to happen, and that might be our best so far, which is fine. We'll see if the other guys can make a name for themselves as they go. Moise Kean, we touched on him earlier and how he entered the match, and he's just got a presence about him. He's got a little chip on his shoulder. He's looking really good. Could be a big piece this year. He is getting announced officially tomorrow. And what do you guys see from Kean this season? Is he going to eventually be a starter? Can he compete and make a case for ending up taking a starting spot at some point in this season? Or is he going to be our ace in the hole off the bench guy?
We'll start with this guy.
Well, I do think that when you see Alvaro and you see Moise, you notice the difference. And when he started, even though the game was 3-0, the first ball he touched, you notice the presence, the difference in speed, in power. You know that. You notice that. And you notice that the defenders are backing out. But I do think Alvaro is going to stay the number one striker because of Max and how Max is. If I was the coach, maybe it would be more open to Moise to be the number one striker. But I do not think he's going to be the number one because Max is going to try to develop him to the long run. He's not asking him to be the starter right now. He just wants him to get his shit together about it. Obviously, work hard, do what he has to do, and when the time comes, he will play. But I do not think he's going to be there. He has the ability to be, but I don't think he's going to be the starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think, well, if Allegri is planning to play a 4-2-3-1, then yeah, I can definitely see him occupying the left wing. It was competition, Kulusevski and Bernardeschi. He might be better than both of them. And maybe he has some sort of Mandzukic role from the left because he is a physical guy. He's pretty big and running into the area on the back post, something we're really missing. And so if that's the case, then I can definitely see him becoming part of the starting 11. But if you play a 4-3-3, then it becomes a bit more difficult.
Yeah, I guess I should switch the question also to, do we think we're going to be locked in on how we played yesterday for the season, or do things change once a guy like Arthur becomes available or whatnot? Do we see the 4-2-3-1? Do we see Max eventually switching it up and getting into that?
I think Max is going to switch it up based on the opponent, and we have players that can play, the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3, 3-5-2. Quickly on Kean, him and Morata for me they're not really alike. They can occupy the same position, but Kean is more of a through ball pace striker. Run on the balls. Morata sometimes comes back, collects it. More of a the mercenary kind of striker, like an Ibrahimovic. They just they get like the ugly goals. Kean he's different for me. He can play that wing. He's a big, powerful young man. So I think I don't know how he's gonna get Morata out of that starting position because for this season, anyways, long term, yes, I think that Keane is the guy long term. But this season, the way Max is setting up, Morata is going to get the start, and Keane's going to bring the pace off the bench. But getting to the positioning, I think it's going to be opponent by opponent, and I think we have the tools. If healthy, we have the tools to play any opponent with anybody off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that too. And we should get to our bench because that was a topic that kind of come up on this particular match. And how deep are we? How strong is our depth on this team? And how would you guys assess it with the guys that are coming off the bench so far? I think it's a mixed bag, to be honest, for me personally. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on how deep you think this Juve squad is.
I'll just start. I'll let these guys go. I just want to say one thing on that. The Napoli game, we had 3 children on the bench, and this team is supposed to be our challenger for the Scudetto. And we took them, to the 89th minute with our B squad. So that's all I'm going to say about our bench.
Yeah, that was the same thing I said throughout that period of time, and everybody got fired up after that loss. And it sucks, it stings, it hurts. But I said, there's no way we played that way with all our regulars. Omar, go ahead.
Yeah, so in relation to what Anthony said earlier, I think it'll also be based on injuries who always play a major part in our seasons. And then I come to think of it, okay, we have a lot of wingers. So if someone is out, if Cuadrado is playing forward, then we only have Danilo as backup. Oh, no, wait, we also have De Sciglio. And then thinking on the other side, okay, it's Sandro, it's Pellegrini, it's De Sciglio, it's Danilo. And I think we're a bit short on center back because of the injury thing. Rugani will have to play sometime. But we have a lot of midfielders and a lot of wingers, 2, 3 strikers, 2.5 with Dybala. And there are a lot of options, a lot more than last season.
A lot more.
Yeah. Francisco, your thoughts on how deep Juve is?
I think it depends on the position when you see it, because you cannot say that, oh, our defense is better, our midfield is better, our strikers are better, because yes, we do have more options, but on some aspects we still lack that. We do still lack, as Omar said. In the central back position, we're not as deep as last year, but we now have another left back, so you can say it balances out. At the midfield, we are deeper because thank God we have Locatelli, because he's our best midfielder right now, and you get the same guys as last year, but you still see that you lack another creator. Maybe when Arthur comes back, but you still see that you lack that other guy that can create consistently. And in the striker positions, you can say, oh, we have a lot of wingers, but you still see that left side, because Max doesn't want to play Chiesa on that left side. You still see that left side is not as deep. So do we have more options than last year? Yes. Are we deeper in some aspects? Yes. But we're not as well-rounded as we could. But I do think, I agree with Anthony. We are a deeper squad, and the game of Napoli doesn't reflect what we are. So I do think we will be better, and that we have more options. I do feel that with Max and with our team right now, we can be more flexible.
I think just to comment is when you sub in players, the idea is to not have a big drop off. And I think this season, okay, some players, I know lose in this with the sweat hogs and the bleachers throwing pee bags right now about our depth, but it's when you sub a player off, are they as equal? And I think when we do that, players coming in are as equal as that person. We're not afraid to make substitutions or changes. Now, is that person up to lose standards of a midfielder? No, but you don't want to have a big drop off. That's the main thing. I think this year we're better than last year in that sense.
Unless we're talking about Rugani. Unless we're talking about Rugani.
Yeah, but I'll be fine with Danilo or Sandro filling in at center back sometime.
Danilo, yes. Sandro.
Danilo, yes.
Sandro was okay when he was
in a
center back
in a
last season.
three-back system.
In a three-back system.
In a three-back system. And this is where I will say this. My thoughts on everybody, like all talking about the depth and whatnot. I think we're deep in the sense that Max can actually deploy this team in a number of different setups, which is fantastic because he has the pieces to actually do that. He can go 4-2-3-1 if he wants. He can go 4-3-3 if he wants. He can go 3-5-2 if he wants. So we're deep in that sense. When it comes to the replacement players and the guys you're putting in, it's a mixed bag. I feel it again. You guys all kind of covered it. At certain positions, you feel safe. At others, it's a little thin and it gets a little skinny. The nice thing is you do have a few guys that are utility guys that can kind of fill in and do multiple things. A guy like Cuadrado is highly, highly valuable because of that coverage. I do prefer him, always have preferred him further up the pitch though. That said, then the right back, but he can go back there and he's allowed you to be somewhat confident with him even being there at the fullback position. So we have a few little tricks up our sleeves there, but in terms of how Allegri can deploy the team, we're pretty deep in a sense that he can almost deploy 4 different setups, right, with this team.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. And I mean, the biggest thing too last year, we didn't have an alternative to Morata that played that top position really effectively. And I think that changes and goes completely out the window now with Keane, because Keane can play anywhere across the front three. He can play off the wing. He could play up top too. And I'd feel perfectly fine. And the thing is, as much as I love Dybala and whatnot, I don't like seeing him up top on his own whatnot. And I've always said this about Dybala. He does his best work with somebody else up top there. I know people go back to the Palermo days and when he first came to us and he was playing more up top as a false nova. But the thing is that he's also changed his characteristics and he doesn't have the pace that he did at that time because his training regimen changed and he started trying to bulk up a bit and whatnot and not remain so small. And that changes characteristics of players sometimes. He did lose pace off that. We've seen other players affected in training methods too when they're trying to just change physically, right? And it happens from time to time. Paulo ended up losing his pace. Anthony knows all about that. So there you have it. But I think depth-wise, could it be better at a couple positions? Is it the worst? No, not by any means. Unless we're talking about center back. I think center back's going to be skinny if we get one injury. Francisco, go ahead, my man.
Oh, I have a question for you. You mentioned the striker position, but you didn't talk about our best striker, Caio Jorge. Why you didn't talk?
Caio Jorge. So when he's back, what, in 2 weeks, I think?
I think 2 weeks.
So I think he's back in 2 weeks. So the thing with Caio Jorge is I'm very, very intrigued by him, to be honest. I'm very intrigued by him. But again, we know how Allegri is with these young guys. He's not
gonna play. He's going to play.
He'll get some Italia minutes.
He's gonna play the same amount of minutes that you and I are gonna play. None. He's not playing. He's not playing.
He'll get some Coppa Italia minutes, I think.
No, he'll play. He'll get
some. Coppa Italia.
Wait, I want to say.
Go ahead.
Okay, I want to say that even in a 3-5-2, it's a lot deeper than we might think, or because it feels like if you play Bonucci, Chiellini, De Ligt, then you only have Rugani. But both Sandro and Danilo did great jobs at a 3-man back line last season, and it might even be better than more depth than we have for 2 center backs, if that makes any sense. And there are always players on this team that I forget are here, like Caio Jorge, sometimes Ramsey, Bernardeschi.
Well,
Apparently, utility guys.
he unfortunately got injured like so quick, right? So yeah, Caio Jorge's just kind of been the forgotten man. But who knows? We'll see. Maybe he can surprise us. I think a few minutes here and there, and Mirko Di Natale said it too on his interview with us. He just said, don't expect big minutes. And, everybody loves watching YouTube videos on new players that join and then think that they're going to come in and bag 15, 20. It's pump the
I have
brake.
a question for you.
Oh,
Like, what's the last time you remember we had 4 Brazilians? Like, as far as I can think, I remember Diego, Felipe Melo, Amaury. And
Yeah.
can't think of another one.
Amaury. Don't say that name when I'm on the podcast.
I'm trying to think here, and I'm not so
we
sure.
had Emerson.
What?
We had Emerson.
Well, yeah, I'm
remember?
thinking back to Emerson's days, but who else was around that?
Danny Alves.
No one. We had
Danny
Danny
Lucius.
Alves was, so that would have been Alves, Sandro. Who?
Yeah.
Did we have another Brazilian in there?
Hernandez.
No, we have Hernandez. We had
Hernandez.
And we had Lucio for a short while.
Lucio, that was different. That wouldn't have been around Alves's time.
No, it was in the
I think
first
it's always
season.
been kind of 3. Maybe three's been the highest. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
there wasn't one like who stuck out.
We had
Costa.
Costa, Sandro, Danilo, as Saad mentions here. Everybody's laughing at Lucio. Yeah, Lucio, that's funny.
I remember him being very unmemorable.
Yeah, that's pretty fine. Lou just cannot give Rabiot any breaks. He says we just need Rabiot's mother to play for him every week. She was great last night at center.
So just so everybody understands, all the people who aren't involved in the All Juve cast, the chat that we have, the Rabiot slander from Lou is unbearable. Like sometimes it's just unbearable. It just keeps going and going and going. It's a lot. It's funny, but it's a lot.
We might have to open up an open chat, All Juve cast chat, where
I don't know.
We just open it up to everybody, and we'll have another one. We'll keep our team chat, but we might open up an actual All Juve cast chat, and you guys can actually experience the Luis Rabiot thing firsthand here. But for everybody also, too, that's listening to the audio on this, you really got to get over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, and take part in these discussions live. This is where we're getting questions, comments in from all these great Juventini from around the world. So if you're listening to the audio, make sure you get over
that's
to
a good one.
Channel. Francisco.
Question: what's worse, Lou's slander on Rabiot or my predictions with Bernardeschi?
Oh man, that Bernardeschi thing it couldn't have gone further opposite. Like it was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hat-trick Bernardeschi. He's gonna be the man of the match. He's gonna be great.
Rabiot needs Lou. He needs Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Lewis turns it up a notch, and then Rabiot gives us that. So Lewis, just keep grinding away, buddy. Keep chipping away there, and we'll get the Rabiot we all want. That's great. So we got a comment in earlier, and I did not forget about you. Okay, Hanin, who said, "Who do you drop for Chiesa against Milan?" I just wanted to get to the portion of the pod where we're kind of getting to the end, and we're obviously going to highlight this Milan match coming up on the weekend here. So, guys, and the question was very, very early at the top of the podcast from another viewer. And yeah, what do you do against Milan? Same setup. Do you get Chiesa in? We know that he's going to be made available. In my personal opinion, you find a way to get him on the pitch. Same setup. Who do you drop?
I don't think he'll start because he's coming back from injury, and Allegri might try to protect him a bit, so we'll introduce him later. But if he does start, then I think I drop Cuadrado.
Really?
Maybe Danilo and Cuadrado goes back, but that right-hand position is his.
Yeah. Francisco, what do you think?
I think he drops Cuadrado. Because what I've noticed, and I saw him talking with Danilo in the game yesterday. You notice the confidence when he speaks to Danilo, that he trusts him to be like this solid guy. Maybe he's not a 10 in nothing, but he's a 7 in many things. So
He,
he's very smart, and in Allegri does like those kind of players. So I wouldn't be surprised if Danilo is the right back and Chiesa. If Chiesa starts, he's gonna play for Cuadrado because he's gonna play. I do think he plays Rabiot. I do think
yes,
he does.
he's very tactically aware, more than Cuadrado.
Yes,
He
and
he
defensively more
covers
solid.
better. Yep, he covers better.
So, and he's saying he'd drop Bentancur, play 4-2-3-1 with Chiesa on the left. Anthony, what do you think? How do you get Chiesa into this lineup? Do you get him? Do you use him as a sub?
The easy answer is you drop Rabiot and you put Chiesa or Cuadrado on the left, but they don't seem to perform as good on the left. I've never, maybe my memory game tape isn't as good. Omar has a really good memory game tape, but I don't like Cuadrado or Chiesa on the left. It's not going to work. I don't want to drop Cuadrado, but I'm going to agree with the other two gentlemen here that he'd be the logical choice. But to your point, Al, I don't think he's. I think, or sorry, was it Omar made the point? He won't start. He should start, but I don't think he's going to start. I think he'll be a 60-minute sub. Hopefully, we have the game in hand by then. But my heart says Rabiot would have to be dropped, but I think it would be Cuadrado.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a very, very tough one. So I know that the shouts are there for the 4-2-3-1. I think we have the personnel to do it. I don't know if Allegri's ready to deploy it yet. And I think
That's what I thought.
And I think basically until he gets the solid consistency defensively that he wants to see, will he then open it up a bit with the 4-2-3-1? Rabiot would. I get it, because we looked at that lineup yesterday and you thought, man, a Rabiot Sandro left side. But the thing is it gave Cuadrado freedom to shift forward in the other side, and you have three midfielders across. I think he's going to want three midfielders across the top. If you look at the Milan team, they play a 4-2-3-1. And I think he's going to want three midfielders in there no matter what. Will Cuadrado get dropped? Will he drop Cuadrado back to right back and play Chiesa ahead of him? Is also a possibility. Dybala and Morata. Keane will be coming off the bench in that match. Morata will start. I think Dybala will start. Chiesa, if he can go, I think you play him. And I just don't know if do you take that chance yet and drop a midfielder and go 4-2-3-1, or do
No.
you slide Cuadrado down and put Chiesa ahead of him, which could be
No,
pretty effective too? Why do you say no?
because if Allegri liked what he seen yesterday, then I highly doubt he would change it in a game that important. That's not the type of game to try new things. He already had to try new things because of absences, and it didn't work out well. And finally, he saw something that might work and he might like. So why try anything different in a game against Milan, which could play a big part come the end of the season? And Cuadrado will be dropped, I think, because he's the only one who can play on both sides out of all our wingers. Like Bernardeschi is okay, Chiesa is okay, Kulusevski is okay, Cuadrado is horrible on the left. And if it was Bernardeschi, then he might have played and let Chiesa rest a bit. But we can't tell. I don't think he'll start. Anyway, Cuadrado will start. Same thing we saw against Malmo.
Yeah, you might just get the same thing, but I don't know. It's tough to hold a guy like Chiesa out because he's a game changer too, right? And then you have Cuadrado as well, who we talked about earlier. He could go to right back. I don't know. It's an interesting one. You could do, again, this goes back to how we were talking about the team in general. You could deploy them a lot of different ways, but I do not see Max abandoning three midfielders. And that's why I see it as the only true way to get Chiesa out there is on that wing. You're still going to have Dybala. You're still going to have your 9. You get him out. He's one of those outside guys. Rabiot, Locatelli, Bentancur. You still have your 3 mids. You push up through that one side. And that's why I still say you drop Cuadrado to the right back, because he's still so effective. And it still keeps him out there in the game, right? Because if you had to choose out of the 2, Danilo and Cuadrado's decent enough defensively that you can get away with it. Danilo obviously is my preference defensively, right? But that's the only way I see Chiesa going in, because I don't see Max going to the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, but against Milan though, Milan is very fast.
Sure they are.
Very fast. I people are talking about, oh, they lost Hakan and all that, but they are a very fast team.
Oh, of course they are. It's going to be a tough game, no doubt.
With Cuadrado, I'm just not sure. With Cuadrado playing as a right back, if you play Chiesa and Cuadrado, who are 2 offensive, I know that they give the effort to defend, but they are not defensive-minded players. I wouldn't mind seeing Danilo playing right back, because that covers up, and he's smart enough to time his runs in a manner that doesn't affect the team more than Cuadrado.
Do you think they go with the 4-3-3? Can't you play both Cuadrado and Chiesa on the right? Locatelli in the middle, and then you have Rabiot or Kulusevski on the left, and then 4-3-3 can fit them both in.
Yeah,
but I don't think Chiesa starts.
The other thing is too, I think we're almost overthinking it a bit too much too, because it's not taking anything away from Milan, but we've seen Cuadrado play right back for a long time now, like 2 seasons deep, and he's played against the best. It's not my preference, but it's not something I'm afraid of. His back post coverage, sure, that's the part that I struggle with and whatnot. But honestly, even Sandro, who's a true left back, struggles with back post coverage. So it wouldn't be something I'm afraid to deploy. And when I look at it more and I think about it, the more I think about it, you've got to find a way, if Chiesa's fit, to get him in from the start on that team. Because again, the way they play, this is to the credit of Milan. They're very attacking, they're very fast, but they're going to put numbers forward. I want Chiesa out there to counter them and push them back. Like, I want him out there with his pace, and I want him taking it to Theo out there. It's a tough one. I totally understand your guys' concern and wanting Danilo back there, but it's the only way I could see us stay in a stable formation that Max kind of seems to be going with so far, and getting our best out there.
I'll tell you what. From what we've seen yesterday, from what we've seen yesterday, the left attacking side was pretty much dead. There was always someone on the right. Cuadrado was always there, but the left side was pretty much Sandro's position on all the flanks. So Danilo kind of stayed back and allowed Sandro to drift forward, and the Ligt covering for him. So if Allegri is going with that system, then that's great, because we didn't have a true left winger on teams today. Like Dybala and Morata kind of covered the center. There was no one on the left. It was up to Rabiot and Sandro. Maybe that was his game plan. When we attack, Danilo becomes like a third defender. And so if that's the way he's going to play against Milan, then it's definitely Danilo there, because Cuadrado won't do that role.
Yeah. Who knows? He might even implement a 3 center back system. Who knows what Allegri can do? But how do you guys feel as we are ready to sign off here? How do you guys feel going into this Milan match? Where's everybody's heads at, as we're about 4 days away here?
I'll watch Milan today against Liverpool, because that's a big test. And obviously, Ibrahimovic is out. Don't know if against Juve, but he's out today. And we'll see them perform. It might take its toll a bit in fatigue, and they have to rotate. But they are a good team. They are title challengers, in my opinion. They're a very cohesive unit. And they showed it last season. They beat us 3-0. And it was a pretty embarrassing win. So I'm afraid of them. It's a tougher test than Napoli, in my opinion.
I think that they are a better team that the names on their back. They play together. They are young, so they are not usually afraid. So when players are young, they are not afraid. Uh, so I'm not afraid of them because I know we can beat them man to man. We have a better team, and with Max, I feel more confident. But I do respect them. I'll see people like saying that we're gonna win easily. There's not gonna be any problem. I respect them, but I think we're gonna win. So,
Yeah, Anthony.
My answer would have been different if we drew or lost yesterday, but you can't underestimate the power of a win. When you've been slacking, it brings everybody together. An away win, you don't have the noise of the media and the home fans and all that. It's always good to get that monkey off your back away from home. The camaraderie it brings. It was a good team win. I know it was Malmo, but it was still a win. I think we roll over Milan this weekend. I think the boys we're finally getting healthy. We have basically our starting 11, and I think Juventini are underestimating the power of this team. I think we're a very, very good team. We lost Ronaldo, but whatever. I think we roll this weekend at home, and I don't even think it's going to be close. Milan's a good team, but I don't think we should fear them at all. I think our team is much, much better pound for pound, and we're going to show it this weekend.
I think they're a wild card. They're just a wild card, Milan. You can.
I'm weird.
Yeah, the wild card you throw in the garbage. They stink. All right, they stink. We're going to roll them this weekend.
Easy. Okay. I love Anthony's confidence every time it comes into the future matches here. It's awesome. I'm never on the same wavelength, but I appreciate it because he's trying to bring me up to that level. But honestly, I'm weary of Milan. They do play a good game. They play fast and whatnot. But again, I think again, this team, once we get our regulars going and they're playing consistently, we're a different team, and we showed that. I get it that it's Malmo, but again, it's a lot of the things we didn't see. It wasn't so clunky and broken, and what we saw yesterday, you do have to give credit to, because that's exactly how a team that's playing against a Malmo should look, and we did it. So again, credit to us because we almost took a guy. We were losing 4 key guys against Napoli, and we still almost got it done. So the organization and the structure for Max, it's coming. It's getting there. Now starting to mix in the guys that are actually like our difference makers, it's just going to bode well for us. This is a big, big match this Sunday. 150% bank everything you have on the fact that Allegri will have whoever is in the lineup ready to go. And we are going to be so organized and so focused in this Milan thing. And these last 2 matches, Malmo and AC Milan, can be what actually turns this whole thing around and flips it for Juve. And you just mark my words, if we get a win in the fashion that Anthony's calling, it will start to instill fear in the other teams in Serie A. And if it does do that, I'm telling you, look out. This team, a Max Allegri-led team, we just need the right spark. And if we can do this, man, the sky's the limit. We just need these guys to start getting it right consistently. But the biggest thing, we all knew it was going to be a challenge for Max Allegri, was getting the focus, putting together 90-minute matches, which we haven't done through Pirlo, through Sarri, and even Max's last season with us. We were playing 50, 60 minutes good through matches and always being our own worst enemy. If he can kill that, this team will do well, because we do actually have a solid group introducing Keane, having Morata up there, Dybala, Quadrado's a difference maker. Locatelli is the guy we've needed for some time.
Keep going, Al. Keep it going. Keep rhyming off the names. Keep rhyming them off.
I'm ready. I'm ready to see Max start to cook. All right, everybody, have faith. It is going to be tough. Okay, it is going to be a tough match. Very, very tough match. I respect Milan. I won't tell my good buddy Gino that, and I'm going to tell him right now we're going to beat you guys. Okay, we got a little bet going, and it involves jerseys. Okay, And I'm going to tell you right now, Gino, I'm not going to wear that Milan jersey, but I have a plethora of Juve kits that you're going to have to pick out and wear. So there you go, boys. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Everybody knows where they need to be on match day, and you need to be on the All Juve Cast channel, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern. We are going to have a lot of fun. These guys are going to take on the trivia, and the Milan trivia is going to be a good one because we got the trivia gauntlet. We're going to have a lot of fun with predictions. We always do. This round, I clearly won. I dominated this last prediction round. Anthony, you could check the sheet, buddy. I got it. No, I think Anthony actually won it. Anthony's been on fire lately with the predictions, but he hasn't run into Francisco and Francisco's wild predictions. So we'll have to see. We'll have a panel for all you guys. I love seeing you all in the group chat here, the live chat as we do these. Fantastic. Again, for everybody joining us on audio, let's go. Bring it over to YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. This is where all the action takes place. So thank you again. Great that we could celebrate a win. First group stage match against Malmo. Now we look to the weekend against Milan. Enjoy the rest of your weeks. We'll all talk on Sunday. As always, Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Ciao.